and enjoying your life. Today, today's session uh, is a Shahzad. Just hold on with me. Shahzad has to come online and just bear with me for the time being. Just be there for uh, couple of minutes. Yeah, we are online. Shahzad is with me, so I'm just bringing Shahzad. Shahzad is a fascinating person. He is an expert in so many fields. We will um, have him introduce himself. You all know me. My name is Hamas Siddiqui. I'm a career coach and social media profile optimization expert based in Canada. Shahzad is also based in Canada. And this series that we are trying to bring on a very regular basis to you is going to talk about career and how things are moving in and how things have changed. What are some of the things we should be doing in that change scenario? So I'm just bringing Shahzad now online. Hey Shahzad,
Hey Hamid, how are you?
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Am
It's
I
fine.
online? Or?
You are online. You are live.
Great. Hello everyone. This is Shazad. True honor to be here with Hamid on this extremely interesting show and webcast. A little bit about me. I just moved here to Toronto a few months ago, and yes, career is on all our minds. And Hamid has been supporting me immensely, and right now I'm here to support him. So it's a two-way street. Career is a two-way street, so it always helps to support each other.
Absolutely. And Shazad Arshad Abbasi, who is also with us online, he's based in your region also, and he's been volunteering with uh, with um, I think RBC is the newcomers initiative. So we will hear from him also. Hopefully, he'll be able to shed some lights on our discussion. So my LinkedIn family, thank you very much, and I hope you will stay with us throughout the session, in which we will discuss things such as what is the future of jobs given the COVID-19 situation. And when we say that, we will talk more holistically, more globally. We will also talk about what are some of the skills that are required in the new normal situation. Um, Things have changed, job dynamics have changed. We have to change too. If we don't change, then we will be out of the league. And then how do we develop a good job search strategy? Often, what I've seen, and Shazad, you would vouch for me, that people who are looking for a job often do not have a strategy. They're just looking for a job, right?
Yeah, the hit
So,
and run, right? I mean, you get on the websites, you go on to Indeed, you go on to Glassdoor, and you just start applying like a crazy man. And that's
yeah,
how I started. And thanks to Hamid, that has changed. So
yeah. So these are three basic questions that we will address in today's half an hour, 45-minute session, and hopefully some people will join us and people will ask some questions. We will be happy to address. Whoever is with us, can you please share where have you joined from? I know Sadiq has joined from Oman. He is the only one at the moment who has told us his whereabouts. Who else is with us? Can you please in the comment type your location, your where are you joining in from, and we will recognize you. So, so Shahzad, while people are joining in and people are um, hopefully will stay with us throughout the session. I know it's late for some people out in the Gulf, India and Pakistan, but uh, in Canada, in the eastern part of Canada, it's nice, bright, sunny afternoon, 2 p.m. So why don't we start with something about Shahzad? Who is Shahzad? What have you been doing throughout your career, and um, what are you up to now?
Okay, very briefly, so I don't take too much time away. I've actually moved to Toronto from Kuwait. I was born and brought up in Kuwait. I worked for multiple companies in Kuwait. I've studied in the US, educated in the US. In Kuwait, I've worked for telecom, for luxury retail, and then now we have moved to Toronto, our son city here, and I'm currently volunteering or have an honorary position for CMO. That's the Chartered Institute of Marketing Management of Ontario. So I run their complete marketing wing. I'm the chief marketing officer over there. And at the same time, I'm looking to build my career. And that's how I got in touch with Hamid. And, we're putting things together. So it's a very interesting journey. Toronto is a very beautiful place, but not an easy place to break into. Yeah, not only because of COVID, but a lot of other factors. Our experiences are very different, coming from a different part of the world. People are accepting, but they're also very cautious. It's a learning experience.
But interestingly, you got this honorary position in a very reputable organization, which is uh, which is a great first step towards building our career or reinventing ourselves, as I say.
I would say reinventing. Yes,
Yeah.
this is something completely new for me. To work for a government entity or a charter. It's a charter, which is the only charters in Ontario marketing. It's very very interesting. It's something very different. To work with all intellectuals, and at the other side to work with a lot of college and university students. It's just simply wow. Yeah.
Yeah. What is so few people have joined us, and I would like to recognize them because some of them have shared their location. Anju has joined us from Toronto. Thank you, Anju. Abdul Kazi has joined us from Islamabad, I guess. Uh, Sanoop, I don't know where have you joined from. Can you please share with us? And Silva has joined from India. I know there are some other people also online. If they share their location, we will recognize them also. So you are absolutely right. We Canada is a country of immigrants. Immigrants from all over the world come here and establish themselves. Sometimes it takes a little longer. For some people, it takes the journey is much faster. Um, and the COVID has really changed the whole scenario. Um, you also came during COVID time. What is one thing that really bugged you in your journey towards finding a job?
Okay, coming during COVID was a major challenge. We got here on the 1st of April. Everything was closed. Nothing was open. Yeah. So it was, where do we start from? How do you start, right? I had a few friends over here who did give me some advice, and that's how I got the honorary position in CMO as well, through excellent connections, through good friends, who lead the way. It is an uphill battle because you get onto websites and you see there's nothing available, nothing to apply. Yeah?
Yeah.
Everything seems very very gray. It was even difficult to find a place to stay because you can't actually go look at things. Yeah? So it was an uphill battle. We finally started to settle down in May. It was an interesting journey, and the journey still goes on. I mean, both me and my wife. Well, Anju here is my wife.
All right.
Yeah, so both of us are working on our applications. We are working very hard to find proper jobs. We're not just jumping on to anything.
Hmm.
We want to make sure that we stay in our career paths or our chosen career paths. And at the same time, we also understand that we need to be flexible.
Yeah.
We want to work for a company which has good leadership, good, strong, reputed leadership positioning. This is what we're looking for. It's not always about the money. It's about the company that you can get into
Yeah.
or the people that you meet. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Shazad, now let's talk about the global scenario. Uh, I mean, COVID obviously has impacted the whole globe, and I was reading World Trade Organization's statistics very recently. They say that they're expecting or forecasting a reduction in the global trade by 32% in 2021, which is massive. Countries that have got the export base for their revenue generation. A lot of jobs are based on exporting industry in South Asia and in other Asian countries, Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam. Uh, so a lot of jobs are at stake. I mean, a lot of people have already gone unemployed, and a lot of jobs are at stake.
I think
So,
economies are at stake. Yeah, it's not
yeah.
only jobs;
Oh
it's
yes.
complete
Oh yes.
economies. Yeah.
All right. So I mean, okay, I mean, we can't really fix economies,
No,
right?
we can't.
Because
I wish we
somebody
could.
has a job, somebody has
Yeah.
a job, and people are struggling to fix economies to stay afloat. Um, what about individuals? What about those person, people like you and me and others who are watching this session and will watch this session later on? Uh, what are some of the things they can do to kind of stand out? I mean, I was coaching, I was mentoring a newcomer this morning only. I mean, she's a brilliant branding person. She's worked for Coca-Cola, Nestle, Unilever. She came here and she's now, hit by COVID as well as the ongoing situation in Canada. So with her, I kind of told her, okay, this is a situation and we can't really change the situation. We have to change ourselves. So what are some of the things that we do to stand out amongst the crowd? Because there are tons of people applying for one job that comes out.
I think you have to rebrand yourself. It's all about rebranding yourself or making yourself more visible. Uh, Having the perfect LinkedIn profile. Okay, there's probably nothing like the perfect LinkedIn profile, but a very strong LinkedIn profile which is catering to the industry that you're targeting. So the recruiters are looking for certain qualities in a person, and I think you need to brand yourself accordingly.
Right. Right.
I
So
mean, that would be
absolutely.
step one. And of course, then you got to also work in a similar pattern with your resumes, with your cover letters, all have to, culminate into a similar target.
Right. So another thing that just struck me, when you said, you talked about recruiters. So recruiters are also struggling. I mean, they have tons of people out there, and they have to find one brilliant person of that large group to fill in a job. Because just to kind of brief those who are with us at the moment, the way recruiters work, they get an assignment. So they if they get to hire somebody in supply chain, they get that particular piece of information from their client. And then what they do, they start looking for the people, and the tool they use is LinkedIn. For recruiters, there is a tool within LinkedIn which is called LinkedIn Recruiter. It's a very expensive tool that recruiters subscribe to. Well, all the large recruiters subscribe to that tool. And that tool provides them various, fields they could kind of put in when they're searching for people. So they could be specific titles, experience, geographical location, and there are multiple, columns that they'll have to fill in to identify, few people they could speak with. Now, the issue that comes up with most of these recruiters is that those profiles that are not kind of targeting recruiters very highly unlikely they would be able to track those profiles. So not only in North America, I mean, India is a big market for recruiters. They use particularly technology recruiters. They use LinkedIn recruiters. In the Gulf also, HR people and recruiters use this tool. Uh, with the explosion that we just saw in on LinkedIn, also LinkedIn published this data last week from 600 million to 722 million people in 6 months. So almost 120 million people added on LinkedIn in the past 6 months because of COVID. And LinkedIn suggests that there are 14 million jobs available also on that particular time when the data was collected. Now, if those 14 million jobs are out there, how would you know, or how would these jobs connect with you? This is one thing that Shadad and I have been working together and targeting. So Shadad, tell something about how do we target jobs on LinkedIn?
So, what thanks to Hamad, I've learned a few tricks, making sure that your taglines are correct, your about is very concise and to the point, and passing the message that you want to get across to the recruiter. But the main thing is the buzzwords that you use, yeah, and that you have to understand from people like Hamad, or you start digging yourself, looking at similar profiles or similar job opportunities that you're looking for, and see how they're putting themselves out. And also contacting recruiters directly. I mean, knock on their door. You may get lucky and they may answer you and give you a few hints as well as to what they're looking for or what is missing. But it's
Uh,
a lot to got to do with your LinkedIn profile,
yeah.
what people see first.
Absolutely. Even so much so that even if you apply for a job through a resume, if you are shortlisted, the second stage is that the recruiter or the HR person would go on your LinkedIn profile and sort of almost revalidate your credentials. So
True.
if you have a decent enough resume, which is kind of successful in passing the first stage, and you are shortlisted for an interview, before the interview, they would always go back and look at your LinkedIn profile. So kind of evaluate the out of if they have selected 10 people, um, who are first 5 people they would interview, because time is precious. People don't have time, and recruiters don't have time because they are overwhelmed with the request, because job market is opening up. It looks as if in the past 2 months, a lot of jobs have come out and a lot of people are a lot of companies are hiring. So the flexibility or adaptability factor, we are human beings, we adapt to situations. I think these companies have adapted to a situation. So they are looking for certain skills now. There's a bit of different skill sets to hire people who would then contribute. And one of the thing is working from home. So and when you're working from home, you have to be more organized. You have to be doing things. You should be able to kind of work if it's an instruction-based job with minimal, uh, you know,
Supervision.
instruction time. You should be able to deliver. Should I say something about it? Tell us something about that.
Yeah,
What are some of
so
the things that we should really be looking at as our skills?
I think, yeah, work from home. Well, let me give you a very recent experience. I got a note from a company that they want to interview me, but the complete interview was a one-way video interview. So they send you a link, and on that link, all you need to do is talk to the computer.
Yeah.
That's all that you're doing. The questions pop up. They give you 2 minutes to prepare, and you got 3 minutes to answer the question.
So
So
you really need to articulate, right? You have to
you
be
have to be very quick about it because they give you literally 2 minutes. They give you the question, and they ask you. Of course, you get an introduction from a computer telling you that be normal, be yourself. It's like a normal interview, but it's not. You're talking to yourself because the only person you see in front of you is yourself,
yeah, yeah.
and it's limited by time. When the timer goes off, your camera stops recording. It's not like a normal interview.
Oh
So
yes.
you really have to be very quick and say everything very clearly in 3 minutes.
Yeah. What was
And
I mean, how challenging was it? I mean,
it's very challenging. It's very challenging. I've done so many interviews face to face, and you can see the person's reaction, and then change your answer based on that person's reaction. But here you have no reaction. It's one way. So somebody down the road is gonna see it and make a decision, right?
Yeah.
Without you even knowing or getting a feeling of where that is going. So
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to learn. I mean, I always use this word, reinventing ourselves. We have to learn a lot before we could say, okay, uh, job market is so bad. Often people start blaming the job market. I think partially that's okay, but building your own capacity to handle with the situation is another interesting aspect of our job search journey. Yeah.
see, the other thing also I've noticed is that the jobs come up and then suddenly they disappear.
Hmm.
It's there, and then suddenly you get a note that the job has been put on hold. So
Yeah. So that's one thing, and the other thing is that often, so there's a requirement you have to advertise, right? But often what happens is that people are hired from within the organizations, or they find people who are good enough to kind of fill that job, and that is one more reason that's why the jobs go quite fast. And the third reason is that in particularly in North America, it's very different. The job dynamics is totally different to what we have in South Asia or in GCC countries, where a job is advertised. You get CVs, somebody looks at CVs, you shortlist those CVs, then you call for interviews, and the interviews go on for a couple of days, few days maybe, and then you sit down and you decide who you want to hire. In Canadian context, in North American context, I mean, my recruiter friends, they say, they usually have 48 hours to fill in a job. So if even if the job time frame, application deadline is maybe another 15 days,
yeah,
whoever applies almost immediately has a better chance of getting into that at least in the league. We spoke about some of the skills. So the skills that are required at the moment is the promptness. Some of the very basic soft skills are required. Promptness, your ability to understand, your ability to articulate, your ability to take action and implement those ideas are some of the things that you really need to develop if you don't have already those skills.
Ahmed,
Another
can I just
thing,
ask you a quick question?
sure.
I'm getting messages on my phone asking how to come to the event. Yeah, because people are on LinkedIn, but they cannot get
So
onto the event.
if they can simply, okay, just wait a moment. I'm just sending you a link, and
You're
we can.
sending it to me on WhatsApp, or
I'll just WhatsApp you that link so that you can
yeah.
easily um, share it with those who are just to give bear with me. Just forward this link.
Okay. So this will get them to join immediately, or
Yeah. It's live, so they can just simply click if they're
yeah,
logged into their LinkedIn.
yeah.
So, yeah, so let's allow people to join in more. I think what we talked about is the changing. I need to what has changed during pandemic will continue, and the new normal will be the normal for the time being at least, and may just become normal because a lot of companies have now learned that they really do not need people sitting in the office. They can literally work, and that will save them a lot of money in terms of
Exactly.
renting a
Rental
space.
spaces and yeah, even transportation.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
there's a lot of things that they're looking at, and
Yeah.
this may become the new norm. Yeah.
Oh yes, I call it a new norm. And also, if you remember, I shared that Andrew Siemens post with you. Andrew Siemens is the editor for Get Hired on LinkedIn, so you can follow him. Fantastic guy, and they do. periodic survey of whatever is happening. And this survey was to speak about how many, people had actually, accepted jobs at a lower level, lower salaries, um, uh, just because, they're still employed and they're working from home, and they accepted it because they were able to meet their expenses. No travel. A lot of people have canceled their
Car
automobile
insurances,
programs,
yeah.
and the saving on fuel, and most of the thing is the saving on dressing up. So
Yeah.
I'm wearing a decent shirt, but I'm wearing a pajama.
Yeah, and nobody knows, right? And
Yeah,
I think that's also affecting the retail industry a lot. A lot of industries are being affected because of work from home. Yeah, I think
yeah,
the telecom industry is doing very well because people need better data. They need more bandwidth. So there's a flip side. There are industries doing well as well.
yeah. And I think technology industry would continue doing well because I think they learned this trick ages ago.
And they were quick to pick up. Yeah,
Oh
they
yeah,
were
yeah. I mean,
agile. They were very agile. Yeah,
they knew, this is, and technically speaking, Shazad, technology industry. If you look at Microsoft and Google and all that, they they already had this model. So they have like people all over the world producing small components, small programs for them,
yeah.
and there is a consolidation happening somewhere in the US or wherever the project office is. So all these people who are building like small components, small programs. These programs are then consolidated at a space to make a bigger program. So they were already aware of it and they already had experience of it. The issue came particularly in the manufacturing industry. A lot of banks, they could do it. They could like have like customer service people online, and because of interact and online banking, a lot of things could still be done through online medium.
And that's what's happening, right? Everything is online today.
Yeah, and I mean Zoom. Look at Zoom. What happened to Zoom? Uh, you
They
know,
came out of nowhere, yeah. I mean,
they. I mean,
LinkedIn as well, right? I mean, today LinkedIn is, as you said, is booming for the
oh,
same
it
exact
is.
same reason. Yeah.
Oh yes, I mean look at them. They are rolling out new features. They are rolling out so many features now, and they're kind of tightening up the algorithm also, which means that there will be a time like Facebook has tightened their algorithm, that if you really want to push your posts out, you will have to pay. So I think they're kind of my instinct is that they're probably kind of moving to into that direction.
But in a way, they've already started, right? Because they've started LinkedIn advertising. They're letting companies, their ads pop up first before your and my posts even come up. You have ads coming up today,
Yeah, they were
right?
doing it. They were doing it for quite some time, but if you look at the interface, they've changed the interface. Particularly the handphone interface is very soft,
Yeah,
uh,
easy to use.
easy to use. They've introduced things which, I mean, because I'm a LinkedIn practitioner for years, I was not expecting it to be like stories and
Yeah,
uh,
they're going the Facebook and Instagram way. I'm
well,
just waiting for them to actually link up to one of these platforms.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's a
So
matter of time. Yeah,
yeah, and the reason is that people always thought LinkedIn is boring,
it's
and
changing.
it was boring, so they're changing it to make it more kind of a user friendly, if I put it this way. But it will become more complex also at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think the third question that we have is that what should be our job strategy in a very challenging time where jobs are not as many as they used to be. The process has changed. Hiring process has changed significantly. It's mostly technology based, and you have already experienced it. Probably other people will also experience
But that
are
was a very,
reporting
very strange experience.
a
Very
bot
strange experience.
driven interview.
Yeah.
So, you know, what should be the strategy? People, I mean, somebody who's either out of job or in the job but looking for a change. What are some of the steps you think people should take? And then we'll take some questions from people who are with us in the session.
I think the most important thing is flexibility. You need to be flexible, research your company marketing, make sure that is something that you want to do. Expect that they're not going to pay you a whole lot of money. You have to be flexible when it comes to that. But as long as it's the right company and you're going to put in the work, it's going to work out in the end. And take one step further, do you want to become an entrepreneur? That's also a possibility, right? Many people will shift to that. That takes a lot of courage and a lot of understanding of the market, but that is another option.
Yeah,
Hamad, you have done that, right? I mean, you have taken that
I've done
step,
that,
and I'm
but
sure that took a lot of guts.
no, but you see, for me, I think it was natural because
I think Hamad, we lost you.
you know, I think I'm back again.
Hey, you're back, yeah.
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
COVID changed the situation when I started. When I started this whole thing, I was actually looking at a very conventional way of doing it. I started with my LinkedIn profile optimization kind of training sessions. So I was working with a couple of partners in where I live in Durham region, and we ran a couple of training workshops. Both the workshops were like sold out completely, and I was so happy. I thought I have time. I would do one workshop every week. This is the kind of result I was, and all of a sudden, everything
Stopped.
stopped. So what I did, I started building partnerships. As soon as people started thinking online, I started building partnership with people. Initial phase was very challenging because when people don't know you, they don't trust you. So the key thing on social media, particularly on LinkedIn, and this is what we spoke when I did your coaching also, you know, build your trust. And trust is built when you are out there and people see you doing things, people read your content, and that's how you build your reputation, you build your trust. You become more visible. Now the situation is that I get to connect with people who have been doing podcasts and stuff much before I started, but now they want to kind of collaborate with me on podcast and things. So nothing happens overnight. Entrepreneurial career is
I
a
think any
strategy,
career,
but it takes
isn't it?
time.
Any
It's
career,
strategy.
any career, right? Even if you start a job now, you have to start somewhere and then prove yourself and grow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's what I say. You got to pick the right company where you can prove yourself and grow.
yeah.
I know it's
So
difficult, for especially for people who don't have work. It's difficult to be choosy. So
yeah. So we have a question from one of our dear friend. Um, Arshad Abbasi Saab. He's asking, what are the challenges to start second career in Canada when you are one of the baby boomers? I mean, let me go first. I think age is just a number, right? We will find it challenging, but I think we are also mature enough to handle those challenges. I think we are more patient as compared to much younger people. But again, reinventing and finding your skill set to match the market is the key. What do you say, Shazad, on that?
yeah, so you have to actually convert your experiences into transferable skills.
Yes,
And I think most of us here are baby boomers, right? So that's a challenge, yeah, to convert your experience into transferable skills. How do you explain that? How do you put that out there? Because what I've experienced is that the Canadian market sometimes does not understand your international experience. So the best way to explain that is to convert them into transferable skills.
absolutely. And start talking in their language. So,
Yes.
uh, for instance, so and I actually did that exercise a little bit with you also, but you are a very different, uh, um, you know, individual who is more willing to experiment. A lot of people are not willing to experiment. So I was working with a client who is highly experienced. Again, somebody who came from GCC and worked at very senior positions, highly qualified. I mean, the typical immigrant's profile. And when we started working with him, the first thing that I said, okay, can you please tell me what are your skills? So and he starts talking about his experience.
Exactly.
This is your experience, right? I mean, understand this is your
Yeah.
experience.
Is a difference, right?
Yeah. So, but people in Canada, the employers in Canada do not understand or cannot relate. Understand is probably not the right word. They're not really able to relate to that experience because see, look at the fact of the matter is a lot of people in the hiring position, they are they're Canadians, right? A lot of them are Canadians, or if they are not Canadians by their origin, they were born and raised and studied in Canada. Very few of them actually traveled outside North America, or sometime within Canada also. You would find hardly any people, very
Yeah,
few
that's
people.
why that's why they don't appreciate
Yeah,
international experience.
right.
So you
Because
have
they
to
don't
convert
understand
that. Yeah, exactly. So you have to convert that experience,
into your
you know,
skills.
into your skills. Yes, and
So
each
it's just
experience
a
is
language.
actually a skill. Yeah,
Right. It's a language. And the
you got
example
to
that I
flip the script. You have to flip the
right,
script. That's
right,
it.
right. So and remember, so Shadab, because we are from South Asia, I think we can relate, and some people who are out there in our session today are from South Asia also. So you go on a maybe in Mumbai or in Delhi or
And we lost you again.
you like in a nicely dressed up and everything. They say, Saab, in your job and stuff. And if they see you sitting with a female, it's what a nice couple, And if there are kids sitting at the back, they will start appreciating. It's the same content. They repurpose that content based on the situation. It's so you know projecting yourself out in a different market is also kind of redoing your content.
It's actually reinventing yourself, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
You have to
So
reinvent yourself.
yeah,
Nabil says no sound.
I don't
Can you
know.
hear us now, Nabil?
I can. It's probably sometime internet glitch. That's why. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure the sound is there. So one of the examples, I'm sure some people would like to understand. What is the difference? I mean, experience is experience. Now, just very brief example. If you are a trainer, for instance, you go and say, I have 20 years of experience as a trainer, or Anju says, I've been a teacher for 20 years. But saying that, how is it different from saying I am a trainer and I know how to do training evaluations. I know how to create content for training. I know I can work with group facilitation and stuff. These are the skills, a skill set of a trainer. So what we need to do perhaps is to experiment with by changing our experience and kind of breaking it down into the skill sets that come within that experience. So and often it's very very challenging, Shadab.
So I was working with a person for my resume, and they said you got to change your chronological resume to a functional resume, and that's what they helped me do. They actually changed my experiences into skills.
Yeah,
It was a very interesting, very very interesting thing that they did for me. Initially I didn't appreciate it. I was like, they're diluting my experience. That's what it felt like. But I'm getting more responses to that diluted resume than I'm getting to the chronological resume.
yeah,
It's very interesting because it's catering to what a Canadian wants to read, or a
yeah.
Canadian recruiter or a hiring manager is looking for.
Right. So it's like vocabulary. So every country or every industry has its own vocabulary. If we speak in that language, it is easier for the person on the decision making side to make a decision whether to uh, call that this because they're not seeing you, they're not talking to you. Another interesting thing, Shadab, so another client of mine who, uh, again, I don't have to say, a very experienced, outshine, fantastic person. He went for an interview and he was like narrating it. There was the president of the organization, the vice president of the organization, um, sitting in the interview. I mean, it's a family-owned business, right? So, but sizable family-owned business. And this gentleman who went for interview was basically called in to manage their supply chain. And so, and question and answer. And this guy was like, he had done like massive work in places like Saudi Arabia and stuff. So he starts asking questions, and he starts using like very supply chain oriented terminologies, scientific terminology.
Scientific.
And these two gentlemen like got so confused, they kept looking at each other and they could not really respond to those things. Well, those things were very, I mean, it was like outstanding questions, because he really wanted to understand as to what the challenges might be if he gets into
Yeah.
the job. But he didn't get the job because
Yeah. Because
they
they got
didn't
confused.
understand what he was talking
Well,
about.
this exact same thing has happened to me. I went for an interview for a company which is a subcontractor to a telecom company, and he asked me, "Do I have telecom experience?" And my thing was, "Have you not read my resume?" So it was a very awkward one. He said, "Do you know how telecom works?" And when I started explaining that to him, he goes, "Oh, you know more than me." I'm like, if you had read my resume, you would have known that. So a lot of people are disconnected as well.
Yes.
They're not
Well,
actually
all of them,
going through it.
all of them,
Yeah.
all of them are disconnected. I mean, this morning only, one of my client had an interview, and exactly the same thing. I actually kind of coached him not to go overboard, because the guy who was interviewing him would probably be a, postgraduate diploma holder,
Yeah.
and the guy who was going for an interview has done his graduation in philosophy. So I said, I know you are highly educated. I know you work for television and all that. As he worked for one of the TV stations, the creative guy. So just forget what you have done. You need his job, and just respond to what he's asking. Don't go overboard. Don't try to kind of impress. And
Yeah.
exactly what he did not do.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I just answered the question, but he could feel that I know more than
Yeah,
I'm, giving up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then if,
So
if he had read the resume, he would already understand that. So it seems that many times they just skim through it and not really go into detail. They found their buzzwords or
yeah,
the skill that they were looking for, and that's it. They make a quick decision.
exactly. So I think this is an interesting conversation, and this can go on uh,
Forever.
for a long time. We've
How do you
already,
ever complain that the sound is looping? So I don't
yeah, I think
know.
it's the
Just
internet.
internet based, yeah.
Reality of the matter is that in my home, kids are studying. When they finish their study, which they have just done, probably they are on YouTube. So,
Okay. So
so
that's
I'm just
taking more
sharing it.
more bandwidth, than the than studying. So
Increase the bandwidth, but in the whole community, everybody's on internet. People
there
are
you
working.
go. More business for telecom, yeah. So that means more
Absolutely.
opportunity. So more opportunity for all of us looking in telecom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if I think it's a fantastic discussion. It's available. It will be available once we are done with this session. But we are already 45 minutes in the session, and I think at this stage, if there are any questions, we would be happy to respond to those questions. If not, then please comment on the post if you like the session. Share with other people so that other people are also, learn few things from this discussion. And Shazad and myself, we have decided to kind of continue this discussion, if possible, weekly or at least fortnightly basis. And the idea is we'll probably change time depending on how things move, um, to kind of bring more people in. or maybe change the day. Thursday is usually good day for a podcast. So, and this is what I've experienced. So maybe it will just be
Yeah,
Thursdays.
Thursday is also it's a good day. Ahmed, do you see the comment from Anju? What do you think on that one?
The
Should
last
you
comment.
should you dumb down my skill set?
Uh, oh,
And
I mean, see, the thing is that you just really need to articulate it in a different manner. The manner in which people would understand that you are skilled. See, Anju, what happens? If somebody, if you see an advertisement for a job, what does it mean? How do you decode that advertisement? You decode it by saying, okay, there is a problem and they need a person to solve that problem in a very simple way. And if we can address uh, that problem by explaining how skilled we are to do that, then the chances of getting that position are much more easier. So I was recently, there was a very interesting job opportunity, and they were looking for somebody with maximum 3 years of experience. It was a career counselor's job um, for one of the organizations in downtown Toronto. I somehow liked it. I said, okay, let me try for the job. And they interviewed me. So initially they scheduled 30 minutes. The interview went on, or that discussion, I won't even call it an interview. The discussion went on for more than an hour. And at the end of the session, they actually appreciated what I was able to tell them. And I never overplayed it. I was just like very basic stuff around training and coaching. But even that was, I think, too much for them. And with their experience and everything else. And they said, usually experienced people do not apply for these jobs. So how come you applied for? I mean, it's like 3 years experience. This is what we needed. And for me, I think I'm at a stage where, as Shehzad, you rightly said, I mean, I would like to do things that I enjoy doing rather than putting myself into a milling machine from 9 to 5.
correct.
So, and this is exactly what I said. I said, I've done that pro bono for so many years in my life, almost 20, 22 years. And this is a great opportunity for me to, it's like contributing into community service also. So, people appreciate, but you have to speak their language. I mean, long answer to your short question, Anju.
Anup has a good question,
Yeah.
Hamid.
So the whole question won't come in. If you have an offer to select for a role similar between contracting and permanent, which one will you select and why? Uh, Really depends if we are looking for, I mean, it all depends. I would think few factors. Let me just quickly articulate it for you. If a contracting job is interesting and it is a job that is not very strong binding on you. So, I mean, you can leave, you can break the contract in 6 months or a year, and you see that this job will give you an opportunity to kind of move up quickly, go for it. Permanent job is usually provides you some benefits which contractual jobs would not provide. So if you're looking for a more stable opportunity, then go for a permanent job. Uh,
Can I
so
factor in on that? I mean, what I've seen from the little experience, Anup, I know Anup very well from Kuwait, and
yeah,
Anup, what I've experienced, the difference, and Hamad, please correct me if I'm wrong. The contract jobs are probably easier to get purely because they're not responsible for anything for
yeah,
you. You get no medical, you get nothing. I think it's a good way to build Canadian experience. But I think down the road, you need to have something permanent.
yeah. You are absolutely right. This is what I'm saying.
This is what I get, the feel that I get.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
for us who are newcomers, we will jump on the contract thing just to build the Canadian experience. And I think that is a thing for another discussion. You know, what do they mean by Canadian experience? It's not
yeah.
actually work; it's actually understanding their culture.
Oh yes.
So, but that's a whole different different discussion. Yeah.
Exactly. So we will actually probably will discuss it. The next session could probably be a holistic deep dive on what Canadian experience means. Um, so you're right. Contracting, even part-time and temping jobs. I encourage people to do whatever they want to do. I mean, they should see psychologically. Somebody who has worked throughout the career, like whatever 20, 25, 30 years career, even 10, 15 years career, in good jobs, making good money. If you're in Gulf and then you're not paying taxes and things, you're still living a pretty decent life, right? You come to a country and you expect that people would like throw jobs at you rather than you wait. But the reality of the matter is the biggest loss we have when we come here is our social capital.
Absolutely. You come with zero social capital, right? Or
Zero,
very
zero.
limited. Or very limited. Yeah.
Yeah, and no knowledge of the market also.
Nil. Though you think that you have knowledge, you actually don't have the knowledge.
No, you actually have incorrect knowledge of the market.
Exactly. You have all the rumors from the
Yeah,
rumor mills.
yeah.
So you need to, and I think that is what they mean by Canadian experience.
So adjusting yourself, I mean, this very basic example. In India, Pakistan, in the Gulf, usually people say FMCG for fast-moving consumer goods. Um, in North America, people say CPG. So if you're very
CPG, yeah.
experienced and you say FMCG, nobody would understand you. So just kind of learning that norm takes time, and then the weather also. So if you arrive somewhere in the middle of winter, you are, I mean, it's bad.
You're in for a shock.
Absolutely. So, and you're scared also. You see, first year when the winter hit, people are usually scared. Immigrants are usually scared. I mean, you just came, you've seen nice, very, very warm winter, warm summer. But now, and lucky, I mean, probably because of this new breed of immigrants coming in, we have longer summer. Still today is 10 degrees, which is summer for us.
It's nice
It's
outside.
very nice. So, but the thing is that as soon as we hit like minus 20, minus 22, minus 32, and then we have like snowstorms and all that. Uh, this is really, you get scared. You don't feel like going out, and you feel scared that you may just trip yourself. You slip and you break your back or something in the snow, and then you try to learn how to kind of avoid ice. How do you define if it's ice or it's water? It will be ice. It can't be water. It's
It can't be water. It's frozen. So
yeah. So I tell you my story. I drink a lot of water. So I keep water bottle in my car. Uh, so I left my car water bottle in the car. So it was in the garage. The first year that I was here. So it was in the garage, and next day I had to go somewhere. My wife was with me. She said, "Shall I take a bottle of water?" I said, "No, no, no. I have enough water in the bottle, which is in the car." And she didn't realize. Obviously, it was our first winter. I never realized it. We came, sat down, we went where we had to go, and I started feeling thirsty. I took out the bottle, and it was all ice. It was frozen. So,
frozen, yeah.
so as simple as that, you don't learn. And then people try to, and another thing, people try to wash their car in winter.
You can't do
Think
that.
about it.
You'll freeze everything. You'll freeze everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are the norms that we learn when we live here.
Yeah.
People bring in warm clothing, though that warm clothing is no more than a piece of
No,
paper,
nothing.
right?
Yeah.
Everything has to be bought here. People spend a lot of money actually buying these warm clothing. They
Yeah.
bring in a lot of weight with them, useless.
Useless, yeah.
So, I mean, these are some of the things which would actually take you away from your own developing a strategy toward job search. And then the family issue. Then the kids have to go to school. Then it's not only you who is like suffering. It's the whole family. Kids are still doing because they go to school and they love it. But
Yeah.
you and your wife, your spouse, you are kind of struggling with your money draining out because you are not earning anything. So last point is we are almost an hour.
What do we say to Nabil? Yeah,
All
he's
right.
getting all the. He's doing all his resume is good. He's doing his assessments, aptitude tests is done. He doesn't get to the last interview.
Keep trying. I mean, this is all I say. Uh,
You know, the rejections will be enormous,
yeah,
Nabil. Nabil, just to let you know, I do like maybe 10 resumes every couple of days. I mean, I send out 10. If even two respond, it's great.
yeah,
Get positive response, any kind of response. Eh?
yeah. And then you slowly build your network also. You
Yeah.
get to know people who can then help you at least finding a lead.
Ahmad, do you think that it is good for any of us who are new here? You know, when you get to that stage and they don't respond, is it good for us to reach out to them and ask
Oh,
the
yes,
question?
absolutely. Follow up.
Follow up.
Follow
So,
up.
Nabil, there you go. I mean, I actually have some companies, I've got an email going out to them every Monday asking for a follow
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I've timed it, I've scheduled it.
Just follow up.
I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to lose. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they don't mind. See,
Yeah. It's an email.
remember salesman? A salesman is a good salesman who until the last moment when the client says, I don't want to buy it, he hangs on to the phone,
Yeah.
right?
Unless she tells you, please don't, email me anymore. So
Yeah, yeah. So or say this job has been filled up or
has
something.
been filled up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So a lot of efforts, but people learn. People learn, and it takes time. You see a lot of highly successful South Asians on senior job positions. I mean, Siemens Canada's CEO is a Pakistani, and there are
Wow.
many more. I mean, a lot of banks have got very senior people from India and Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So thinking that it's difficult, it may be challenging. I would like to use the word challenging, but we need to find a way to handle the challenge
It's an
and
uphill battle. It's an uphill
and
battle. You
invest in
cannot take it
yourself.
away.
Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're sitting at home and you're not doing anything, you're actually not investing in yourself.
True.
And if you're spending too much time in learning things that you already know, then you're still wasting your time.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think I
always
think we
say,
are beyond the learning phase. I think we, as you said, we have to rebrand ourselves, put ourselves out there.
yeah,
Spend more time on LinkedIn. So absolutely, Nabil, you're going to get so many more rejections. I've worked many more years than you, so you know the
yeah,
rejections
I
are.
wouldn't even call it rejection.
I call it a feather on your cap. I just call it a feather on your cap.
Yeah, I mean, I won't even call it rejection. I mean, enjoy.
Experience, experience.
Yeah, it's so you need to learn. See, the thing is, the way I look at it, if something is not happening, then uh, we need to actually figure out why is it not happening, rather than start worrying about it's not happening. So if we figure it out, and this is one of the things, when Shiraj, you spoke to me, we kind of discussed it, discussed your path and everything, and we came up with this thing. Now, if we are only getting worried, we are just building our worries, right? But if we try to find a solution, if you try to find a solution to work with people who can help, who can kind of give ideas and stuff, then we will be able to figure out. And if we can figure out, this is something which I learned like 30 years ago. Smartest people on earth are not those who have PhDs. Smartest people are on earth are those who can figure out. I mean, if we can figure out, then we'll fix it.
Exactly.
So that's what my last message is. If we can figure out, we can fix it. So that last message from you before we. It's already 3 p.m.
Yeah, we keep going, guys. We just keep going. There ain't
Yeah.
no looking back, right? It's only
No,
looking forward.
no looking back. If we are in Canada and if we are, I mean, it doesn't really matter where we are. There are opportunities. What we need to do is to stand out, and once we stand out, it is easier to tap into those opportunities. With that, thank you very much for joining in. Shazad, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Hamad, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, and we'll continue this discussion. Fascinating, and thank you, great people who joined in from so many other
From all over.
countries from all over the world. I could say, people joining in at like midnight time in maybe from India. Yeah, somebody joined in from India, from Pakistan. So stay tuned for the next session and follow Shazad and myself. We will keep putting out things which would help you. I do LinkedIn profile optimization for my clients, and Shazad was my client, became my friend, and we are working together on few things that would benefit larger community. So thank you very much, and thank you,
Thank you,
Shazad.
everyone.
Wonderful
Thank you. Thank you,
weekend.
Ahmed. Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
Bye bye.